Hey everybody, Dan here, and I want you to do something for me. By the time we get to the end of this video, I want you to take your phone and I want you to put it down. I want you to take your phone and I want you to put this thing down and stop looking at it. And I'll tell you why in just a few minutes here. But first, I have a question for you. Do you ever have a hard time focusing your mind? Do you ever have a hard time thinking clearly? Does it ever feel like there's just so much going on that you can't process it all and you just cannot figure out how to clear your head so that you can think clearly and properly? I feel like this all the time. And so today for Truth Tuesday, I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to get just a little bit more personal with you today because of something that I've been dealing with lately, and it has to do with this device right here. You see, lately, my days, and I realized this very recently, is that my days start with me rolling over in the morning and I look at this thing. I look at this. Generally, I pull up something like Twitter, or I'll pull up something like right now, I just got another notification of some types. They never stop. It never stops. There's always something going on. And what I realized when I start my day by going to the phone, when I'm constantly looking at it, when I'm constantly getting notifications, it creates what I have decided to call, this is for myself, mental noise. It creates mental noise. It injects into my mind, stuff that makes me think about what's going on my phone, things that are going on in our culture and our world around it, and it makes it hard to do other normal things. So what I wanted to deal with today is something I've been dealing with myself, and I wanted to share this with you too. And this is the idea of how do we focus our minds so that we can do the things that God wants us to do. Because not only does God want us to focus our minds, He's already given us tools and guidance for how to do it. So today I'm going to share with you four scriptures. I'm going to share with you four scriptures today that can help us see how we can go about doing this, okay? So to begin, I want to start by going to the book of Romans. We're going to go to the book of Romans. We're going to go to chapter 12, the second verse. Now, this particular verse I'm going to read out of the New Living Translation because I love the way that they did this one, or that they translated this verse. Listen to this. Romans 12:2 says this: "Do not copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by," get this, "changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." Check that out. Paul comes right out of the gate. Do not copy the behavior and customs of this world. Do you see what the people in the culture around you are doing? Do you see the things that are normal for them and the way that they conduct themselves? Don't do that. Let God come in and let God change the way that you think. Alter the way that you think so that you'll begin doing things the way He desires for you. Okay, that sounds great and all. But what else? I want to read to you another verse now. If we go over to 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, listen to this. Once again, Paul writes, and he says, "God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." Power, love, and self-discipline. You see, if we can let God come in and transform our minds, these are the attributes that He wants to inject into us as He makes us into that new person, like He referenced in Romans 12. He wants to give us power, love, and you heard it, self-discipline. The ability to control what it is that we do. Amazing. Again, Paul writes, this is in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 5. Going to the New International Version now. Listen to this. Paul writes, he says, "We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ." We take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. Now, for me right here, this is the hardest part. For me right here, this is where the challenge really comes in, because we oftentimes think about obeying God with our actions, right? I don't lie. because God has modeled and has told us that not to lie. We don't steal. You know, all the commandments, right? We're very familiar with obeying God with our actions. But what about obeying God with our thoughts? The things that go through our head. Is what is going through my mind right now honoring God? Are the thoughts that I'm processing right now obedient to Christ and the way that He wants me to think? I want to share something with you. This device right here, I go to this thing for news. You know, I go to this thing for information about my friends, all kinds of different things. But especially if I'm looking for news or information, the goal of this and what these news outlets are trying to do is they're trying to inject my life with fear. They're trying to make me apprehensive because that's what keeps me coming back for more. Is that honoring to God? And on the plus side of that, I love when you guys post pictures of your family and your dogs and all that kind of stuff, because that's the good stuff right there. But more on that in just a second. We have to take captive these thoughts. We have to control what's in our minds and make them obedient to Christ. And it all comes down to this. It comes down to this last verse. And I've shared this verse before, but it is so important because in this verse right here, we see a guiding principle for not just our thoughts and our minds, but for peace in general. The book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8. This is from the New International Version, and Paul is writing here. He says this: whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Wow. Think about the good. Focus on the good. There is so much negative, and yet Paul admonishes us here to focus on the good. That is the real key to having a clear mind, to focus on the things that God wants us to focus on. You see, God wants to transform our minds, and once we let Him come in and begin to do that, He will give us power, love, and self-discipline. Through that power, love, and self-discipline, we can take these thoughts captive and we can turn them to be obedient to Christ, and then through that process, as we focus on all these things that are right and good and admirable, we will be able to see things the way God wants us to see them, and we'll be able to walk the path that He wants us to walk. I hope that this helps you today. This has been a big struggle for me. I thought that I would get a little bit personal today, and I'm going to take my own advice. When I'm done shooting this video, I'm putting this thing down, and I'm not going to look at it for a while, because I'm going to take my mind and I'm going to put it on the things of God, just like are listed in Philippians 4:8. Thanks for watching. Have a great Tuesday, and have a clear mind, everybody. See you later.